So I'm going live right now. I'm going to put you backstage, and then I'll come get you. I'll still be able to see you. I can't hear you, but I'll still be able to see you, and our guests can't, or our viewers can't see you until I put you on. Hi guys, it's Veronica from Veronika's Ventures. Hi guys, it's Veronica from Veronica's Ventures. Thank you so much for joining today for this very special episode. As you all know, I usually go live or post a video every Sunday and Wednesday on personal growth and development, as well as life hacks that I learn along the way to help you be successful too. The reason we're having this very special episode is because I've been on Clubhouse. And if you guys haven't been on Clubhouse, you have to try to wrangle an invitation. Hit me up on a DM. We'll see what we can do. But the reason you want to be on there is because there's so many amazing people on there right now. And it's such a hub for networking and connecting with people that, especially newbies like me, would never have a chance of connecting with on a regular basis, because they're there as people, not professionals, but they're there almost as a service, trying to connect with people and helping people. One of the very first rooms that I went into, I met a wonderful lady, Suzette from simplemarketing.ai, and she was amazing in moderating the room, as well as taking time throughout the room time to explain the Clubhouse tips and tricks and things that you may not know about, because it's such a new platform and it runs completely differently than anything we've ever been on before. And so I asked her to come on with me because she was so knowledgeable and just kind of share those things with our viewers, especially since not a lot of us are on Clubhouse yet. Pretty soon. So I'm going to bring her on and we'll say hello. Hi, Suzette. Thanks for joining me today.
Hi, Veronica. Thanks so much for having me. I'm really honored to be on your stage.
Thank you. I really, really appreciate it. So yeah, I was telling our viewers that I was on Clubhouse yesterday, and you were such an amazing moderator, and you took so much time to explain how the things work. So I'm kind of hoping that you could do the same thing here for today. For example, like the microphone clapping and things like that. Anything that you can think of that people need to know before they enter a room. Because I know the very first night I went on there, I got an invite from a friend, and it was when Elon Musk was on the platform. And so everything was packed. There was people in the hallways. And just seeing all the names there and their bios, I got so intimidated. I was like, I'm going to go in one of these rooms and accidentally like take myself off mute and talk, and it's going to be terrible, because I couldn't tell if I was muted or not, just entering, and it was very intimidating. So I think giving people a kind of heads up will really help.
Well, of all the nights to go on your very first night, that's probably a pretty amazing one. I was actually on that night too. Well, for me it was night. For the ones who haven't picked up, I'm an Aussie, so I'm actually in Australia. So excuse the accent. It was an interesting night, that one, for me. I pretty much managed to, just beforehand, score a way to get into one of the official flow-on rooms. So I managed to get into one of the rooms very quickly, not the main room. That one, I think, filled up before, I think 10 or 15 minutes before the actual event went live. Clubhouse itself was not doing very well, so there was a lot of people having, the app itself was struggling with the load. So I jumped into this room, and I think I was about the 50th person in the room. There you go.
Wow.
And what I found,
that's amazing.
Yeah, there was. Well, what was it? Yeah, go on. I think we've got a bit of a delay.
No, I was just going to say, yeah, no worries. The great thing is I can edit this video later and cut down. So what was your first experience on Clubhouse? What got you into Clubhouse to begin with?
Actually, what got me into Clubhouse in the first place was a friend of mine who is actually quite influential on the platform. She'd been working with a number of the big names and the people who are doing really well on Clubhouse. And so when she found out, I I got it through Stu McLaren's tribe. So everyone was talking about it in the tribe membership, and so I've got to get on with this too. Okay, fine. So I got it, and I literally got mine, I think, 2 days before New Year's. And so I didn't do anything with it. And a friend of mine actually who found out that I was on, and she's like, "You've got to come on, you've got to do it." And I'm like, yeah. Okay, so I didn't actually do anything for, I think I only really went into Clubhouse about a week before the Elon Musk event. And went in the first time, and I went into one of her rooms, and her rooms are like 3,000 people, or sort of thing, and it totally get the whole intimidation side. It was very, very intimidating, but I thought, well, okay, well, she's doing really well on this, maybe. I seem to have
I'm listening.
seem to have lost you. Okay, cool. Just so that's cool.
Yeah,
so I went in, but she was great. That's cool. She was great. So she actually handheld me, and I got to say that was the best thing. Going in by yourself can be very intimidating. As you say, you don't really know what to do, and that sort of thing. So she actually thankfully took me, handheld me before I went into any of my rooms, and even then, I must admit, it was still very intimidating, and just gave me the ropes. And so really the first ropes are straight up is knowing that when you first come in the room, you are not able to talk. So there's 3 levels of a user. The first one is you come into a room is you'll be the audience. It's referred to up, which is a little sort of icon on the right-hand side, which people think is muting or the unmuting. Is actually to put your hand up to come up on the stage. Now, one of the things I love about Clubhouse is that it's all about permissions. So you have to ask for permission to come up on stage, but conversely, they can't just bring you up. They have to invite you up to stage, and you have to choose. So everything's always about permissions on both sides. And so when you come up onto stage, one little tip for that, though, for some reason they have not yet got it to the point where it mutes you when you first come up on stage. So as a little trick, make sure you mute yourself when you first come up on stage, because otherwise, if you've got a lot of background noise, you will disturb the stage. The second thing is, so now you're on the stage and you're referred to as a speaker. And anyone who is a speaker, the algorithm really loves you, and gives you a lot more love the more interactions you do on the stage. So what it also does is it tells anyone who follows you that you're on stage. Maybe you should come over and listen to you. Being in the room will tell people will be told sometimes when you're in a room, but when you're a speaker, it will tell a lot more of your followers.
Oh, wow,
the third level is and the third one is the moderator. And the moderator, as per any other kind of event, is the one who has the control, or multiple ones have the control to moderate the room and bring people up on stage, and also conversely kick them off when they're not doing so well. And you generally, if you are running your own room, and we can get onto that a little bit later, you don't want to have too many moderators. Probably a maximum of about 5, generally, because any more than that, it becomes a bit unwieldy. But yeah, for generally as a new user, my encouragement is that you get up on stage as often as you can. And when you have your party hat, that first week, you have a party hat on your profile, I really, really encourage you to try to put your hand up and come up. A lot of rooms, particularly the smaller rooms, are very open, very embracing. And what it will do is a lot of moderators will love having people who are brand new in the app and bringing them up on stage and speaking. But so does the algorithm. And the more you come up and the more you actually engage and speak on stage, the more the algorithm loves you.
Wow, that's good to know, because now I'm kicking myself for not having been on there when I still had my party hat. But yeah, I found that too.
Same, I was the same.
Yeah, everyone seems to be really, really open, which I love. I mean, I was in one of the rooms, there was journalists talking about how to get in front of journalists. I mean, where else can you get those kind of tips? you're hearing straight from the horse's mouth how they want you to pitch them. So it's definitely amazing. If it's easier to get on stage in the smaller rooms, then would you encourage new users to then be on the smaller rooms first, just to have a chance to be on stage?
Look, actually, it's actually easy just to get up. It's actually quite easy to get up on the big stages as well. A lot of the time, they're actually looking for people to put up their hands, as I mentioned, particularly if you're a party hat wearer at the time. It's more just, it can be a little bit intimidating for people if you're in a room of 1,000 people to get up there on stage. But hey, look, if you can do it, awesome. Hats off to you. Into smaller rooms, though, for a number of reasons, are the way to go. The first one is, as an individual, and and I very much was like this myself, and even now I still am at times. It's less intimidating if it's a small room, putting your hand up and getting up on stage. So it tends to be, and particularly if you've got people, after a little while, once you get people who are following you, and conversely you follow, and you start to build relationships. And I want to come back to relationships in a little while, because that's really, really the key to, I think, Clubhouse. The thing, though, is that when you actually are in a smaller room, you tend to get much more dynamic engagement. Now, the other thing about Clubhouse is, one of the things is our Clubhouse founders of the club, they're constantly finessing and changing the algorithm. So what this means for us is those big, really huge rooms are not as visible in the hallways anymore. And what they're trying to do is really promote small, engaged rooms where people are having active conversations. They don't want that typical speak at a person or speak at the audience type model. They want the room to be engaged and have conversation.
Yeah, for those of you who are just joining us, we are here with Suzette Bailey, and she is from simplemarketing.ai. And I met her on Clubhouse in an incredible room where we got to network together, and she agreed to come on here and give us some tips and tricks on Clubhouse, because it's such a new platform and it's hard to find information. But she just, what was really fascinating was the whole clapping with your microphone, because for those of you who haven't been on the platform, there's no way to send a message. And if you're not, even if you want to, it's considered rude to interrupt, obviously, but you want to show appreciation for what the viewer is saying. So could you explain that a little bit for us, Suzette?
Absolutely. So this comes back to what I was saying about engagement. So the more engagement that the speakers who are up on the stage have, the more the algorithm loves it. So from just a straight, process of trying to actually make yourself, position yourself as an expert, because I think, in Clubhouse,
Are you there with us?
Is that better? Yep, I am.
Are you still with us, Suzette? I see you. Are you able to hear me?
Yeah.
I unfortunately.
Can you hear me?
I can't hear you. Maybe my phone is frozen. Just 1 second. Let me check it really quick. Oh, now I can hear you. Go ahead.
Oh, no problems. I'll just reiterate then repeat it for you. What Clubhouse will do. No problems. Clubhouse is all about engagement, and it's about conversations. So when you're a speaker up on stage, the more engagement that you have, and the more people who are speaking in the dialogue between the speakers, the better that the algorithm likes it. So one of the things that they're doing, so this hand clapping started, as you mentioned, there's no way to sort of show any appreciation, and you don't want to talk over people to sort of say, yeah, that was awesome, because of delays and things like that. So as a bit of a community, the way everyone worked it out to show appreciation is by flicking their mic, which actually signified hand clapping. So obviously, if you've got a lot of background noise, you wouldn't do it in that particular circumstance. But if you're in a nice, quieter area, flicking your mic off and on made it sort of look like you were clapping that speaker and showing them. But on top of that, it also is really great for the algorithm, because it shows that you're listening, you're engaged, and you're actually taking interest in what the speakers are saying. But the audience can't do that. So if you actually want to show appreciation to speakers, it's another reason for getting up on stage, because in fact, I actually find it now a little bit awkward when I'm only in an audience, because I go and clap them to say, oh, that's really awesome, I really got value. And then I'm like, but I'm only in the audience. Oh, I can't do
I had that experience as well.
It almost feels odd now.
You know, but I think that's one of the
exactly.
things that
so if nothing else, just getting yourself on the stage for that. Yes, so go on.
Right, and I was going to point out to our listeners here that that's one of the things that makes Clubhouse particularly special, because a lot of the other platforms don't encourage you to go to other social media platforms, but there's no way to communicate other than speaking live in rooms. So quite often people will say, you know, check my bio, my Instagram, DM me. So you could actually get not only followers within Clubhouse, but also followers within Instagram, which is how we connected as well. So I thought that was super interesting.
Absolutely.
And
you know what's a really, you know what I have found as an interest.
Go ahead.
No, you go.
What I was going to suggest was explaining to people how to sign in and out of speaking, which would be awful here. That was very new. And then after I was in your room, I went to another room that didn't do that, and it was totally tripping me out. I like it better the way that you were doing it. And could you explain why that is that way? Because I love the way you explained it. But,
oh yeah, the I'm Suzette, I'm done speaking sort of part. Is that what you're talking about?
Yes, exactly.
Okay. One of the advantages, if you don't mind, I'll just come back to that, because I just think I might finish on what we were doing just a minute ago about the relationships, because I think that'll be around the hand clapping and the appreciation. One of the things, and the DMs, I just particularly wanted to capture that before I forget it. That's all. When you said about the DMs is also a really big thing. One of the things that I love about Clubhouse is that the actual Clubhouse itself is, I've never seen anything like it. You develop relationships on this platform, on that platform, faster and more deeply, than you do on others. And so asking for them to connect afterwards is a really big component of it, and people are. And I'm actually I've built huge relationships, and in fact, I'm developing massive friendships already from people that I've only met literally weeks ago, because it deepens a relationship so quickly. Now, in regards to the part, and this is, I think, flows on very lovely, is that the quality of the people generally on the platform is fantastic. And so one of the other things that the community did was they realized that people who had vision impaired and hearing impaired were having difficulty understanding or determining who was speaking first, and secondly, when that person was finished, and between speakers. So what the community as a whole developed was this, started becoming a trend, was when you're in a room and you're finishing, when you're speaking, you go, I'm Suzette, I'm done speaking. And what that does is, when they actually have their speech to text editor transcribe the audio, they actually get this break, and they now know who the speaker was and the breaks between, and that's the thing. So it felt a little bit odd for me, because as an Australian, we tend to be, you know, like the whole tall poppy syndrome. We don't like to, so me having to say my name each and every time. But I thought, you know, by valuing that accessibility side, and that's how I do it. Maybe not be for everybody, but it is the reason why I do it.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And I like that component of it, because like you said, it was very inclusive, but even as a completely hearing person, it is hard to tell who's speaking. You have to look to see whose microphone is not muted, is the only way that I can tell. And then even then, if there's multiple people doing crosstalk, it's hard to know. So it's really good that you moderate that way, even if it wasn't the inclusivity part, but obviously that's a huge benefit for everybody. Let's see. I know I have a ton of questions. Is there anything else that you think our viewers absolutely should know?
As a complete newbie on it, look, I think it's just get in and... Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, tell us about the club, because I know that you just started a club, right? How do those work?
Well, the clubs are sort of the equivalent of the Facebook groups of the Clubhouse world. So it's a collection of people who get together to talk, you know, and have particular rooms on a particular topic, and they can be anything between accountability buddies for workouts, all the way through to business and everything in between. There is actually a very famous room on the Clubhouse scene called the Lullaby Room. And the Lullaby Room is literally that. They just do lullabies and music to help people go to sleep. I think I don't know exactly, but I think it started because of this whole concept of tucking people into bed was a concept early on the Clubhouse scene, which was if somebody, you've probably heard about the fact that some people get a little bit addicted to Clubhouse. Well, it's quite common for people to fall asleep while they're in a room. Wow. And while on stage, it previously was people who didn't actually, the moderator couldn't mute people on stage like they have now brought that in, moderators can, but at the time they couldn't. So the moderators had to tuck the person into by putting them into the audience if they fell asleep and they could hear them snoring. So I think
funny. You know, I can definitely see that. But because nothing is recorded, so if you miss it, you miss it, right? And so, like, even I see something pop up now, I'm like, oh, I really want to be in there, but I have stuff to do. Darn it! I could definitely see being addicted to that for sure.
Yep.
So
yeah. No. Yeah. But coming back to Clubhouse.
Yeah. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, I was just going to say, just finishing off with what you said. So clubs are just that place. There was a bit of a rush to get them last week because they finally opened them up to be able to create your own. But one thing, if you are a new person, if you do actually want to create your own club, you can't do it straight away. What you need to do, and even actually if you've been on the platform for a while but not very engaged, I come back to the whole Clubhouse algorithm loves people who are engaged and love people who actually take action, so and get involved. So what they want you to do if you want to actually open a club is you must schedule at least 3 sessions it doesn't have to be in a club, it doesn't have to be, it can just be your own room, like it's your own room on any topic. Bring in people. It's a great way to also and a tip about doing that is bring a buddy or 2. Trying to do it on your own is intimidating, but it's also not great for the algorithm. If there's 2 or 3 or 4 of you actually on the panel, firstly, you've got that support, but secondly, the algorithm actually likes it more because you get all of the advantage of all of their followers being pinged and being told that that room has opened. So it's actually better for you anyway. So this is what I really love about Clubhouse. We are actually better together, and the whole platform is designed in a way that it actually rewards people who help other people. Sort of thing. So that's a big factor for me. Yeah.
That's fantastic. I love the way it's set up that way. I'd love to host a room with you one day if you're open to it. That would be fantastic.
Not a problem at all. If you want to do it over the weekend, we can do it, or anytime in the coming week.
Absolutely.
So yeah.
Before we sign off, I wanted you to tell us a little bit about your company, I don't know if it's new actually, but the Simple Marketing AI. I was looking on your website and it sounds very, very interesting. I'm curious to see how that works.
Well, how I can tell, I've spent a huge amount of time and effort working out that, trying to make it so that it's very simple. So really to make it work, it just needs a few keywords and phrases. But actually what it does is it writes your marketing content for you. How it came about is that I have run a successful IT consulting company with the federal government, Australian federal government, but I used to stress over the fact that I couldn't sell a $500 course. And a lot of that came about with doing marketing content, and having to write that myself all the time was a real problem. So I actually essentially invented an entire AI platform, or put together an entire platform purely and utterly to write the content for me. So that's what it does. You put in a few keywords and it gives you your first draft, or in most cases, 3 drafts.
Wow. So it's writing copy for you then, or is it writing like posts, or both?
It can write copy. We've deliberately not gone with copy at the moment. So what we're doing at the moment is actually using content that you actually use to promote yourself. So that, well, I say promote because I don't actually find that a very ugly, not ugly, it's probably a bit of a confronting word for me, is probably a better way of saying it. What I mean is, it's when you need to provide information and content to and build trust. So it can be posts about what you do. It could be articles. If anyone goes to my LinkedIn profile, and I'm very easy to find because I'm facebook.com/Suzette Bailey. There's a article on there with a person hands with a what's we call it, a light bulb, and that light bulb is actually so that article was completely written by the AI. The only words in the article that were actually written by me were bolded, and you'll actually see one word towards the top and another line at the bottom that says, I think it's just a wrap-up line. Other than that, the entire thing's been written by the AI. I mean, it doesn't always come out as neatly as that one, but in a lot of times it will give you your first draft.
Wow, that's amazing. I can't even imagine what that would be like to get that all done for you. And so you came up with that idea just because marketing was difficult for you. I can't even imagine what kind of powerhouse you are other than marketing. I know when we
I market on relationships.
You are very good at relationships, for sure.
Yeah.
I have to ask you before we hang up. So Star Trek, are you the next generation or the original Star Trek?
Actually, to be perfectly frank, my favorite is neither of those. I'm a Voyager girl, and I absolutely loved Voyager. And last year we actually had pretty much the entire Voyager crew cast on board with us on the cruise. And so I actually got to meet my absolute favorite, I particularly loved Jerry Ryan's character, which was 7 of 9. And not because of the whole, she was beautiful and all that sort of thing. It was actually because she was the misfit. She was the science misfit. She'd come as a Borg and all that sort of thing. And she never really quite fitted into the crew. And at the time, I had just finished being my science degree, and I was entering the quarantine service at that time, and really in the science industry, with me being female and also then moving into the IT the same way. And I really connected with her on that level. So for me, and with Janeway also being the first female captain of Star Trek, for me, that one will always have a very near and dear for me. And just one thing, my name is actually without the E, the first E. It's actually S-U-Z. Just
let me.
That's right. So it's the French bit.
That's what I get for trying to type this.
It's not a problem. It's not an easy. It's not an easy name to write.
We'll put that one up because I know that is your Instagram handle.
That is indeed.
And
and it's also our website.
Perfect. And I know that you are very responsive to your DMs. I DM'd you, and almost right away you DM me back, even though you're on the other side of the world. Thank you for joining us all the way from Sydney. I think this is the biggest long distance call ever made. But if our viewers DM you, would you prefer them to contact you through Facebook or through Instagram? What is your preference?
Either one's fine, or even LinkedIn. I'm actually active on all 3 platforms. Previously, actually, I wasn't on Instagram, but neither Facebook or LinkedIn are actually on Clubhouse. So another tip for everybody, have a Twitter or have an Instagram account before you come on, or at least set one up, because the only way people can connect to you within the app is either Instagram or Twitter. And neither of those 2 platforms I ever liked. And in fact, of the 4, I was an early adopter. You probably could tell from the fact that I was internet and science. So of the 4 sort of main ones, first social media things like Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and your domain name. I got 3 of them. I got the domain name, I got SuzetteBailey.com, I got LinkedIn, and I got Facebook. I didn't get Twitter. This woman in North Carolina got the Twitter account, and I was fine with that because I didn't like Twitter. But no, just a tip for everyone: make sure you got a Twitter or an Instagram.
That's a great tip to make sure you get that right away. And obviously now Clubhouse, right, too. That actually brings up an interesting point. There's something other than your social media accounts. What else should you put in your Clubhouse bio? Because I know like some people have extensive stuff on there, and then some people just have like their title and that's it.
This is an opportunity. A Clubhouse bio is quite a bit different to a lot of other things, and a Clubhouse bio, it's good to have short, sharp, easily read things. So a really good bio will have things like "I'm known for," and just a list of a couple of things, a few things that are really good for you, that you want to be known for. You may be able to do a whole lot of other things, but it's the things that you want to be known for. It might be things that sort of websites that you want to feature, or other mediums, like you can put links. Another little tip for newbies: no links are clickable within the Clubhouse bio. So sometimes if you've got a really long link, go and get yourself a domain name or something that is a really short one, or something that's memorable, and do it as a redirect to the long link, because that will be a way of actually getting a nice short something that people can easily remember or type in afterwards, because they have to type the link. Other things to put some things in that are a bit interesting, like I've got AI Geek and the fact that I love Star Trek. For anyone who, this week particularly, I would normally be on that Star Trek cruise, but obviously we can't. And you're trying to connect with people. So just put things that you think people are going to be interested in. As a little tip, this is the first time we've actually said it publicly, we're actually in the process of putting together a bio generator for Clubhouse using the AI.
Oh, wow.
So very soon, it's not ready yet, but hopefully in the next few days, or maybe the next week or so, we'll just see how the developers go. We may actually be able to generate at least the first draft of your bio for you from the AI. And so then you don't have to, because again, I hate writing it myself.
Wow, that's amazing. That's definitely going to be a useful tool for everybody. And be sure to follow Suzette Bailey on Instagram, Twitter, or maybe not Twitter, on Instagram and Clubhouse, as well as Facebook.
No, Twitter.
Yeah, so that she could, you can connect with her. And yeah, I want to hear about this bio writer, because I'm always struggling, and it frustrates me that all the platforms have different lengths for their bio, so you have to almost have a different bio for each one. And yesterday, someone in one of the rooms said that you actually should have different bios based on your interests, so that when you enter a room, you could put a bio that kind of fits that room, so that people will resonate with you more. Is that something that you would recommend as well?
That absolutely. Yep, that's been recommended to me, and I find that it can be very useful. So yeah, that's part of the reason why we're doing the bio generator, because I didn't want to have to write my other bios. So it's all about being fast. But you're a Trekkie yourself, are you?
I am, but I watched it mostly when I was in high school, so that was before Voyager, and so I'm the next generation kind of person, hard person, for sure. My husband's.
I love Next Generation. It was just the connection.
Yeah.
So who?
My husband is Star Wars fan, so we clashed on that.
Oh, right.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
But for sure.
The reason why I mentioned it is that tomorrow morning, my time, which would be Friday evening, I think your time, we are actually hosting because every 10 a.m. Sydney time every week, because people don't necessarily believe that the AI can generate content, we do a little bit of a fun room, and it's in the content marketing, which is actually my club, content marketing. It was hosted at 10 a.m. Sydney time. we do AI's Got Talent. So AI's Got Talent is where we actually ask people in the audience to give us words. We actually get the AI to generate song lyrics from those words live in the room. We post them on a page, and then we get somebody to sing them back into the room, all live in the room at the time. Tomorrow's episode, it is so much fun. We have a huge amount of fun. So any of you karaoke fans, we're always looking for people who want to be singers and to sing it and you can actually follow along with the words at all times. But the reason why I mention it is that that tomorrow's episode is a very special one around, we're going to be doing a Star Trek themed one, because normally myself and my husband would be on a Star Trek cruise this week. And so it's only fitting that we actually pay homage to Star Trek because of that. So anyone who's a Trekkie fan or anyone who's interested in just having some fun, but we're always looking for karaoke singers who can sing our songs for us.
Well, I'm going to have to set my alarms, because if I did my math correctly, 10 a.m. Sydney time is 5 a.m. our time. I can do that. For Star Trek and for you, I could totally do that.
That's awesome.
But yeah, Suzette, thank you so much for being on here today. And I'm definitely going to connect with you via DM. We'll see if we can host a room together sometime soon. That would be great. And I'll sign off.
I'm looking forward to it.
I'll sign off in traditional Clubhouse fashion and say, my name is Veronica, and I'm done speaking. Yeah.
And I'm Suzette, and I'm done speaking.
Fantastic. Thank you so, so much. And there you go.
So I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If there's any topics that you'd like to see me cover, please comment below or send me a DM. Don't forget to find me on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, and also at veronikaventures.com. See you next time. Bye.